I want everyone to write down this website, teachnyc.net. It is the ultimate resource for all things related to teaching at New York City Public Schools. It has been redesigned to provide great new resources and tools to help you learn about NYCPS and find the pathway to teaching that's right for you. Tonight, we're going to speak about the transitional A pathway for becoming a CTE teacher. If you are a career changer who is thinking about shifting to teaching from your industry area, you're in the right place. If you are already certified CTE teacher or certified teacher in another subject area, join one of our general monthly info sessions to learn more about the application process. So as I said, we have a lot to cover tonight. So let's get started. We're hoping that you walk away with the following tonight: an overview of New York City Public Schools, knowing the key details about CTE, an understanding of CTE landscape at NYCPS, including why it's such a big priority for this administration, understanding the application and certification process to becoming a CTE teacher, and to begin determining your own eligibility and pathway to becoming a CTE teacher. In this section, we'll do a brief overview of New York City Public Schools, snapshot of the district, benefits of a career with NYCPS, and teacher supports and opportunities. At NYCPS, we have leaders who understand the vital role our schools play in shaping students' lives and communities. Our Chancellor, Kumar Samuel, states, as a lifelong educator who has served our system as a teacher, principal, and superintendent, and as a parent of two New York City Public School students, I know firsthand that our schools are the heart of our communities. I believe that our students from early childhood through graduation deserve schools that are safe, academically rigorous, and truly integrated. They should know that their children are learning the fundamentals, starting with reading, and are being challenged academically, guided by high expectations, strong instruction, and teachers who believe in them. So, why teach at New York City Public Schools? When you join New York City Public Schools, you join the largest, most dynamic district in the nation. And we're going to take a closer look at what that district looks like. So NYCPS has over 900,000 students who speak over 180 languages, a network of 77,000 fellow teachers and New York City educators that have the unique privilege and responsibility to jumpstart the next generation of innovators, leaders, and citizens. NYCPS is comprised of 1,600 schools that are diverse as our students and the distinctive neighborhoods we serve. Within our schools, teachers build personal connections with their students, colleagues, and families to support relationship building and learning outcomes. To give you a sense of the growing needs for teachers, the New York State law limiting class size means they need the need for teachers across New York City is growing significantly. We are hiring at a record rate and need to be thinking long term about how we're going to make sure we have a strong pipeline of high quality educators to meet the needs across NYCPS. New City Public Schools is always growing with new schools opening each year. And this past fall, we had 7 schools open. And now we'll take a look at our competitive salary. As of this year, teacher salaries at NYCPS starts at 71,314 for a bachelor's and no experience, and 80,166 with master's and no experience. Teacher starting salaries vary based on education and experience, and they can earn additional compensation for teaching after school or summer school programs and for teaching in demanding environments. As teachers' careers progress at New York City Public Schools, they can earn longevity bonuses and have opportunities to move up salary steps. These are the starting salaries, but we like to give a sense of what you could expect your salary to be as your career develops. So, looking ahead, this slide shows what your salary would be in the future at New York City Public Schools. If you're currently in your 8th year of teaching with a master's plus 30 credits and professional development courses, you will be at 106,907. If you have 15 years of teaching at New York City Public Schools with your master's degrees plus 30 credits in professional development courses, you would be making 128,277. Remember, this is using the pay scale from the 2026 school season, so these rates are subject to increase with the yearly raises negotiated on your UFT contract. And here you can access additional resources regarding salary on the NYCPS website as well as UFT's website by accessing these QR codes. And as we said, there will be many QR codes throughout the presentation. So don't worry if you're not able to catch all of them. You will be able to access them once the recording is sent out to you after. So let's take a look at our robust benefits. New York City Public Schools has comprehensive health insurance plan, which includes dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Some of the plans require no employee contribution, annually retention bonuses prorated during your first year and increase each year. Membership with the United Federation of Teachers, enrollment in a pension plan. New York City Public Schools employees are eligible for many additional benefits, including commuter benefits, a college savings program, and employee discounts on everything from technology and media to travel and education, in addition to scholarships, financial incentives, and other special programs are available for many employees. There are also exciting loan forgiveness programs you could be eligible for as a New York City Public Schools teacher. NYCPS employees may be eligible for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The PSLF program forgives the remaining balance on your direct loans after you've made the equivalent of 120 qualifying monthly payments under an accepted repayment plan and while you're working for a full-time eligible employer. New teachers at NYCPS hit the ground running with professional resources and learning opportunities tailored just for you. In addition to the many career development opportunities available to all teachers, we offer robust supports from our new teachers in person, online, and community settings. This includes New Teacher Week, an annual event where new teachers can get inspiration from special guest speakers, learn about key policies, engage with the United Federation of Teachers, UFT, and network with other fellow teachers. School-based mentoring, in which new hires are assigned an experienced and trained mentor teacher to support professional growth throughout your first year, as well as the First Class newsletter, which is a monthly digital bulletin for first year teachers that spotlights vetted resources, teaching tips, and answers to common new teacher questions. Teachers at New York City Public Schools, no matter where they are in their careers, have access to professional development opportunities at their schools, including coaching, professional development days, and after school learning opportunities. In addition to school based supports, there's also optional development opportunities are made available by various teams, including New York City Public School offices, as well as the UFT. We also offer digital resources for busy teachers to find resources for their classroom and regularly stay connected to opportunities to extend their learning and impact. So, who are we looking for? New York City Public Schools is dedicated to attracting and retaining the very best teachers for our schools. We're looking for passionate, collaborative, and committed teachers who reflect the incredible diversity of our student body. Passionate, our team of exceptional educators are passionate about educating urban students, truly believing in the power of education that it can make in our students' lives. Collaborative, our teachers thrive on constant learning and collaboration with colleagues. Committed, our teachers go above and beyond for students, understanding students' challenges and embracing their potential. And then diverse, we seek teachers who are as diverse as our students. So help put our students on a path to college, careers, and a lifetime of learning. And that is who we are looking for. And what are some benefits to teaching at NYCPS? Make a difference in the lives of your fellow New Yorkers, maybe even those in your local community. You can focus on building a better future, use your skills to help develop the nation's next leaders, innovators, and educators, as we've mentioned, and then build a relationships with colleagues dedicated to a shared goal. You'd be joining a robust network of over 70,000 teachers. Tonight, we'll start by focusing on an overview of career technical education, what it is, where we see the greatest need, and what it is like to teach CTE at New York City Public Schools. So, what is CTE? Career and technical education teachers provide academic and technical instruction alongside work based learning experiences for high school students at New York City Public Schools. NYCPS currently offers 260 programs, over actually 260 programs of study across 130 schools, which span over 16 CTE industry areas. And why is New York City Public Schools so committed to expanding CTE opportunities? And what do CTE teachers find so inspiring and meaningful? Teaching CTE is a great way to use your industry experience to prepare students for life after high school and to introduce them to career opportunities and requirements. Students are able to develop skills needed for specific career areas through their hands on learning experience in high school. And here are some of the CTE industry areas, which include computer technology, nursing, business, and more. You can visit the state's webpage to learn more about the industry requirements for each industry area. And we'll talk more about how to find out if New York City Public Schools has a CTE program in your industry area later in the session. We are especially interested in applicants who have experience in high demand fields such as technology, computer science, healthcare, and trades and technical services. If you have industry experience in these areas, you can expect to see more CTE teaching opportunities available. And now we're going to take a few minutes to hear about the impact of CTE at NYCPS from the perspective of our students and teachers. So I'm going to play it so that you can hear from their perspective.
On outside the classroom.
So one of the
There we go.
The best part of the CTE program is the real world knowledge.
The hands-on and the curriculum.
Learning new things and being able to pursue what I really want to do in my life.
I would describe career and technical education program as a pathway for students who are intrigued by working with their hands, by building things and have that engineer mindset.
Career and Tech Ed now prepares kids for both college and careers. It allows students choices, and that's really what school's about.
When you mesh college readiness with career readiness, you get a well-rounded individual, someone who can be the leader of tomorrow.
What they really receive here at a career technical education program is the exposure to the industry that they could pursue.
Industry partners are key to the success of CT schools because they guide us on what's up and coming.
They let us know what's going on outside the classroom.
So one of the state requirements is that our kids get 60 hours of internship. Those internship hours are through our partners.
Let's face it, CTE, the first word is career. They provide that real world career experience for our students. So without them, we wouldn't have that.
It was amazing. I interned alongside two doctors. There were two gynecologists. I was listening to the doctors' stories. I was listening to them put information together, and it's just an experience that blows your mind. And like, I plan on going back next year.
I'm now attending a construction skills program which is going to be able to get me into the union, which the school works with.
The industry partners are critical for our success. At each term, we can place up to 32, 36 sometimes, students in restaurants.
We usually get about 5 or 6 students go straight into the union right after high school. We also have students that get hired by our industry partners.
So what's interesting about CTE schools is that their graduation rates and their attendance rates are higher than normal academic high schools across the city.
Students come to our school with a passion for whatever it is that they want to study, and that motivates them.
Not only are we excelling academically, but we're excelling in our CTE courses, so we know what to expect when we go to college. It gives you an advantage over other students.
The difference between a CTE graduate and a traditional graduate from high school is that the CTE student brings a level of professionalism and a commitment to a career.
The CTE is all about mentoring and guiding our students into the right direction, into the right career.
The hope is that they choose what's best for them. If this is it, then great. We'll push them, we'll support them, carry them if we have to. They have choices, and those skills are always going to be with you. They're yours to keep. It's in your toolbox. Even down the pipe, if you decide, this is what I probably want to do, well, you have something to fall back on.
Once we graduate high school, we know all this stuff and we get our certifications.
We come in here and we have many opportunities and strive, and we can form our own careers here. And not only do we start our career, but we enhance our careers so that when we do go into the job industry, we start out at the top with the best education possible.
Alrighty, thank you for watching that with us. We hope you enjoyed learning about the impact of CTE from our students and teachers. Now we will dive into CTE teacher certification pathways, exploring the most common options, providing examples, and guiding you on how to choose the pathway that best suits you. So if you're a career changer, the best pathway to become a CTE teacher is through Trans A certification. A Trans A certificate allows the employment of individuals with industry experience who meet the educational and occupational requirements of the New York State Education Department, also known as NYCEDS, for career and technical education industry area. What is unique about Trans A certification is that it allows you to teach before receiving an initial certificate, which is the typical first certificate for most New York City Public Schools teachers. Let's take a look at the difference between traditional teaching certification and Trans A certification to give you a little bit on the distinctions. In a traditional teaching program, candidates must earn your teaching certificate before you can teach in a classroom. Obtain a bachelor's degree in education. This typically takes about 4 years, and it requires specific coursework and in-field teacher training. While on the other hand, Trans A certification, a non-traditional route to becoming a teacher, allows candidates with industry experience to share your industry-related knowledge with students without having to go through a teacher preparation program, and you can earn a CTE teaching certificate without prior teaching experience. So Trans A certification is provided by NYCED, the New York State Education Department. We'll review the process tonight, but note that we do not make final award determinations. We, as the New York City Public Schools, do not make final determinations regarding certifications. A Trans A certificate allows you to teach grades 7 to 12 for 3 years. Within those 3 years, you will need to remain at the same NYCPS school and complete coursework requirements to apply for an initial certificate, and we will talk a bit more about that later on. You can use the QR code here to review NYCED's experience requirements by title to identify the industry area in which you have the most experience and/or education. This tool gives a detailed description of what work experience NYCED is looking for your desired industry area. And then later on, we'll talk about another tool that gives a listicle perspective of the amount of time that you will need for the particular requirements. But this tool allows you to see what work experience NICET is looking for in detail. There are many different pathways teacher candidates can take to receive Trans-A certification. The pathway you choose will likely depend on your education level, your industry experience, and any industry credentials you may have. Tonight, we will be going over some of the most common pathways and we'll share information about where you can get more details about all the pathway options. As we stated, there are multiple pathways available for Trans-A certification. This chart shows at a high level the multiple pathways available for Trans-A certification. Again, the pathway you choose will likely depend on your education level, your industry experience, and any industry credentials you may have. Before we talked about the descriptive tool earlier, now we're going to take a look at the New York State certification requirements search page. This is where you're going to search for relevant pathway requirements for your industry area. Be sure to check this web page carefully to find the specific requirements for your industry area as they are unique to that industry. When searching on this page, you'll input the following information in the drop-down menu. Select Career and Technical Teacher as your area of interest, and then the industry area you are interested in as your subject area. The grade level drop-down will only offer grades 7 to 12, as CTE can only teach grades 7 to 12. And then you'll select the specific title you want to see the qualifications for. You'll select Transitional A as your certification license and press search to see all the specific pathway requirements for your industry area. There are some items that are required for Trans-A certificate across all pathways. These requirements include completing 3 workshops, committing to teaching at the same NYCPS school for 3 years, for the 3 years of your Trans-A certification, receiving a year of mentoring and daily supervision for your first 20 days of teaching, and fingerprint clearance. And we'll talk a bit more about some of these requirements tonight, and you can also find more information in the QR codes provided here. So pathway A and B are the most common pathway CTE candidates use to get their Trans-A certification. To qualify for pathway A, you must have at least an associate's degree in the field you are applying for and a minimum of 2 years of work experience in that field. As we said, pathway B is also very popular. To qualify for this pathway, you must have at least a high school diploma and at least 4 years of experience in the field that you are applying for, and you must pass the New York State Teacher Certification Exam in communicative and quantitative skills. You can find more about this test in the QR code provided as well. Some additional pathways we see candidates use are pathway G and J. To qualify for pathway G, you must have at least 2 years of work experience in the field you're applying for, as well as hold an industry credential or pass a state-approved industry exam. And last but not least, pathway J, you must have a bachelor's degree or higher in the field and either 1 year of work experience or an industry credential. As you can see, each pathway is unique and there are further nuances within pathways depending on the industry area. You want to be sure to check the state certification requirements page as well as the industry requirements page to see what you might qualify for. We know that navigating pathways can be quite complex. So let's talk through a couple of examples. In this example, we have Lena. Lena has an associate's degree in mechanical engineering technology from Queensborough Community College, and she has worked for 5 years as a mechanical engineer. Lena should pursue pathway A because she has an associate's degree in the industry field, as well as at least 2 years of work experience in the field. As a second example, let's take a look at David. David has worked as a registered nurse in a New York hospital for the past 3 years. Because David has an industry credential, which is his registered nursing exam, and he has at least 2 years of work experience, he should pursue pathway G. And as our last example, let's consider Jasmine. Jasmine has been working as a hairstylist and a manicurist since she graduated from high school and obtained her New York State cosmetologist license. Jasmine should pursue pathway B, which does not require any higher education after high school or a GED. However, Jasmine will have to take the New York State Communication and Quantitative Skills test that we mentioned. Note that according to NYSE's requirements, a cosmetology license is required for all pathways to become a CTE cosmetology teacher, even where an industry license isn't listed as a requirement. This is why it's important to carefully check the NYSED requirements page for your industry area and pathway. And another example where that applied would have been the example with David, nursing. You need to have a registered nursing license across all pathways. So we will now dive into the next steps to becoming a CTE teacher, the job search process, and answering any questions you may have at the conclusion of the presentation, time permitting. So we know that the CTE application and certification process can be quite confusing. So we've broken it down into 6 steps, which we will now walk through in detail to help you kickstart your journey as a CTE teacher at NYC Public Schools. So the first thing you're going to want to do is select your CTE industry area. Be sure to carefully read the requirements on the state's website to make sure you will meet the qualifications for your selected industry area. Then you're going to want to select your certification pathway for your selected industry area. Look at the various pathway requirements on the state's website. Ask yourself these questions to determine what pathway is right for you. And these questions are: what is your education level and background? What is your work experience? What, if any, industry credentials do you have? Have you completed an industry level assessment? Remember, there's no one size fit all option when choosing your pathway. And when you ask yourself these questions, you may find that you qualify for multiple pathways. It's at your discretion to determine which one you would like to apply for certification for. So yes, utilize the resources to determine which one is most suitable for you, and which one you will more than likely meet all the requirements according to NYSED. As we mentioned, you will also want to create a NYSED Teach account to apply for Trans A certification. This is where all documents related to your certification, like education transcripts, evidence of industry credentials, etc., will be uploaded. So any important documentation needed for securing certification could be submitted here. Your required documentation will depend on the pathway you selected. However, all pathways will be required to submit a work verification form to NYSED. Please be sure to get a copy of any work verification form that is submitted on your behalf. You may need it to follow up, and the information about the work verification form could be sent to the email provided here. As we mentioned, New York City Public Schools is a separate entity from NYSED certification application. You will need to complete both, and you should do so at the same time. In order to submit your NYCPS teacher application, please visit teachnyc.net, that beautiful website we had you write down at the beginning of the presentation. The 2026-2027 NYCPS teacher application is open, and apply now to gain access to CTE job opportunities at New York City Public Schools, and we look forward to receiving your applications. Next, you're going to want to update your resume to get ready for your CTE teacher application, because this is a very important part of the CTE application review. So here are some tips to consider when you're updating your resume. Make sure relevant experience for your industry area is visually prominent with headings like related industry experience. Be sure to clearly describe your roles and responsibilities and highlight your years of experience. Keep in mind that your resume is pertinent to the review of NYCPS teacher application, as I just mentioned. It will allow us to review your experience against the requirements for the New York State Education Department's requirements for your desired industry area. And this will determine if your application will be successfully screened and gain access to NYCPS job opportunities. So when we're reviewing your application, we're comparing it to the requirements that NYSET is looking for your particular industry area. Now, just to give a sense of the typical application hiring timeline, the application typically opens in January and remains open through the summer. There is a lot of mid-year hiring that takes place during the early winter months, and then principals begin hiring and interviewing for the following school year. Early commitment is an initiative for candidates that are certified in high need subject areas to be able to accept positions in certain districts. CTE is a high need subject area, and this year we've had stipends available for eligible high need subject area candidates who are accepted and early commitment before June 16th, and the final peak hiring is June through August. And just a reminder that peak hiring application deadline is May 7th, but we encourage you to submit your application as soon as possible. And as we said, we have our early commitment program. All subjects are eligible, especially CTE. Schools in select districts can make hiring commitments to candidates between March and June. Opportunity for candidates to secure a position before school budgets are released in June. And the stipend amount differs by the district. And we're almost there. I know there's a lot of information, so let's take a look at step 5. You want to be sure to complete your required workshops. NYCPS is an official provider of these workshops, which you can find more information about through that QR code. So you've selected your industry and pathway. You've submitted your New York State Education Department and NYCPS applications. You've collected your updated resume and documentation. It's time to begin the fun part, the job search. Our office will review your NYCPS teacher application. If it seems like you've met the state's requirements for your selected industry and pathway, your application will be entered into the new teacher finder. This is our online job board. We will talk more about this shortly. Remember that you are responsible for finding your own job, and securing a job offer and committing to 3 years of teaching is a state requirement for obtaining Trans A certification. We offer lots of different job supports and encourage you to take advantage of them all, including researching schools online, conducting direct outreach to schools using the new teacher finder and vacancy list we send you via email after your application is successfully screened, and attending workshops and networking events that you may be invited to. One way you can promote success in your job search process is considering districts in neighborhoods and schools where your talents are most needed. If you are certified in a high demand subject area, once again, where CTE is, If you're really determined to work at New York City Public Schools, you should also think strategically about where you're looking for a position. If you want to go where the jobs are, consider teaching positions in the Bronx or Brooklyn. This year, 52% of our new hires occur in schools in these two boroughs. It's important that you find a school that's the right fit for you, but don't exclude schools because they are slightly out of your comfort zone or in a different borough from where you live. Almost all of our schools are easily accessible by public transportation, and we have students who need great teachers and industry professionals in all five boroughs. So you've heard us mention the new teacher finder, and this is a very helpful job search tool that New York City Public Schools has. Once you submit a high quality application, you will get access to the new teacher finder. You will be able to log in and use the NTF in several ways. Your application profile will become viewable to principals and recruiters. You'll be able to search for teaching position. It's important to know not all principals list their positions in the NTF, but many do, and this will give you a sense of what's out there. Principals may not post positions, but they could be looking and reviewing resumes to see which candidates can be a good fit for their schools. And if you're certified in the high need subject area, which once again, CTE is a high need area, you may receive invitations to NYCPS sponsored recruitment events during the spring or summer. And it's important to note that not all candidates are invited to all events online and in person. Overall application quality, event capacity, and current certification needs are taken into consideration when inviting candidates to network events. And this is a screenshot of what the new teacher finder looks like. After selecting search all positions on the left panel, you can filter for positions type, your preferred borough, grade level, and subject area. And as we said, this is where most principals enter their vacancies. To learn more about specific schools, you can go to schools.nyc.gov and use the school search feature. Right on the home page, you can search for schools by name, borough, and grade level to help narrow down your options. However, you'll want to remember that this tool lists every school in our system, not just those with openings. Once you've identified the school that interests you, you'll need to contact them directly to inquire about position availability. To learn more about individual schools uh, and clicking, you can do so by clicking on an individual school's name, and it will take you to the page that contains a wealth of information about that school. You can click on the school's website to go directly to their website, click on an overview to see some data about their grade levels, enrollment, district, and more. Click on school quality for direct links to school quality guides and reports for the school, and click on reports for additional information about the school program, finances, and way more. So I know we've covered a lot and you've made it this far. Thank you for hanging in there with me. We're almost to the end. But before we get there, let's briefly recap the CTE process, your next steps, as well as where you can get additional support. We'll then go through questions we haven't answered yet to see if we can address any of them for the group. So a brief recap, Trans-A certification is the main route for a non-teacher candidate to teach CTE. There are multiple pathways to Trans-A certification depending on your education and industry experience. Meeting the requirements of a pathway of your desired industry area is required for your NYCPS teacher application to be successfully screened. Securing employment with NYCPS and committing to 3 years to teaching at the same NYCPS school is a requirement to obtain, in addition to the other requirements outlined in the presentation to obtain Trans-A certification. And if you follow these steps outlined, you can get started and become a CTE teacher at New York City Public Schools. As a preview to what happens next after receiving a job offer, your principal will coordinate the next steps with the district's human resources director. The HRD will contact you for documentation to submit to NYCPS's CERT office. If the documentation submitted indicates that you've met the state's requirements for your selected pathway. The CERT office will grant you a temporary certification so you can begin teaching. Note that they will only do this if they are confident that you meet the state requirements. So be sure to double and triple check those requirements on the state's website before applying. Uh, and that's the part we'll keep reiterating. Like when we review your application, is according to NYSE's requirements. Sometimes we get inquiries about why have my application been denied, and a large chunk of the time it's because the resume or things provided in your application does not indicate that you meet the requirements that NYSET is looking for. So double and triple check those requirements to make sure your information is in alignment to what NYSET is looking for. As we mentioned, the Translate certificate is valid for 3 years. Within those 3 years, you'll need to complete 3 courses, which are 9 credits total, as well as paid teaching. And you can visit the webpage from this QR code for additional information about what initial certification looks like. And as always, you can visit our online support center for 24/7 support with application and hiring process. The support center contains hundreds of articles about every stage of the application and hiring process, as well as contact us button where you can submit your question to our TRQ help desk for a personalized response. We have articles tailored specifically to CTE. We encourage you to utilize them. And if there are still additional questions that come to mind after diving through those resources, feel free to access questions, and we will would love to support you. And subscribe on teachnyc.net to stay connected to resources, communications and updates, and way more. We have a very active LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Last season, we reached millions of prospective and current teachers through these posts. So follow us and tag us to stay connected to New York City Public Schools and join the conversation. And as we said, check us out on YouTube to watch a video of the recording of all our information sessions. As I said, we will be sharing an email, a follow-up email of the recording, but a lot of these recordings live on our YouTube, so you'll be able to access recordings for other pathways too if there are other pathways you're interested in exploring. So check us out on YouTube. And these are some additional resources and supports. You have the NYSET CTE site. This is all things Translate certification from the state's perspective. Teach NYC CTE site where you can access all resources regarding the application process and certification process from New York City Public Schools. And then the NYCPS CTE site, which has an overview about CTE at NYC and our programs, and then our online support center where you can find personalized support.